During the October 1st Chinese National Day holiday, Mount Tai was packed with climbers. Most people came with the hope of reaching the summit and watching the sunrise. Many started their climb at night, but as soon as night fell on October 1st, heavy rain began to pour, followed by strong winds and a sudden drop in temperature. It got so cold that people were shivering. The tourists were drenched from head to toe. Hotels on the mountain raised their prices sharply. A standard room cost more than 1,000 yuan per night, and even a seat in the lobby was 100 yuan. Many tourists were forced to spend the night in the mountain restrooms. One person complained, saying, "I paid money just to suffer." Another person said he spent 50 yuan just to sit in a chair and avoid the rain, joking that he was worse off than a stray cat. A young woman filmed her climb to show what really happened.
6点到达一天门，天渐渐黑了下来。这时候每
I arrived at the first gate at 6 p.m. As it got dark, I found shops every 50 feet. It felt like walking through a snack street. I ate a pancake, then an ice pop, and later some grilled noodles. I reached the mid-mountain gate at 9:30 p.m. Once I passed 900 meters above sea level, the temperature dropped, and it started raining. The steps got steeper. By 11:30, I arrived at the Ascend to Immortality Arch, and the rain was pouring down. The steps were packed with people stepping on each other. At midnight, I reached the south gate of heaven, which meant I was close to the top. Honestly, climbing those 7,863 steps wasn't hard for me. The real challenge came later. At the top, there was a storm. The temperature was just a few degrees. I ate spicy hot pot in a simple tent. Then I went to the restroom and realized something was wrong. The entire restroom was filled with people. I gave up on watching the sunrise and wanted to go down, but the cable car had stopped and wouldn't reopen until 5:30 a.m. I found a restaurant where the owner charged 50 yuan per seat for the night, but all the seats were taken, so I had to sit against the wall. Outside, the storm kept raging. Many people still had nowhere to shelter. I was worried about their safety. Finally, when it was 5:30, the cable car didn't open because of the weather. I had no choice but to walk down. There were too many people, so they limited the flow. I walked another hour in the rain before reaching the stairs near the south gate. I'll never come to Mount Tai again. Another person posted a video saying that on the first day of the holiday, about 10,000 people climbed the mountain, only to face heavy rain and strong winds. In the freezing 2 to 3 degree weather, people struggled forward. One person said, "All I could see was an ocean of people in strange white raincoats and thick fog. There was no view at all. My clothes were soaked, my shoes were filled with water, and I honestly felt like jumping off the mountain. Finally, on my 7th call, the cable car is running." He said he entered the mountain at 10 p.m. on the 1st and came down on 10 a.m. the next day. "I spent 12 hours in wind and rain without sleep. That's what real hardship feels like. Well, I guess it's one crazy thing I did in middle age." In the comments section, someone joked, "Frozen stiff, wallet empty, limping home and covered in mud. This holiday felt like escaping a disaster." Visitors also mentioned that hotel prices on the mountain were generally high, with standard rooms costing over 1,000 yuan per night, and most were fully booked. Some restaurants allowed tourists to stay overnight to escape the rain, but even a seat cost 60 yuan per person. One restaurant near the summit charged 80 to 100 yuan to sleep in the lobby. Online booking platforms showed that a hotel near the top offered a holiday seat package for 99 yuan per person, which included overnight stay, instant noodles, unlimited hot water, phone charging, and Wi-Fi. In response, the staff from Mount Tai Scenic Area said it had been raining from last night through the day. They advised travelers to check the weather before their trip and choose clear days to visit. During the holiday, many scenic spots across China were overwhelmed by crowds, causing long delays and frustration. Large groups of tourists at Mount Hua, Yanmen Pass, and Huajiang Canyon Bridge shouted, "Refund our tickets." Some even waited in line in the rain for nearly 10 hours before they could finally descend the mountain. Let's start with the Yanmen Pass in Shanxi. On October 3rd, large numbers of tourists were stranded in the Yanmen Pass scenic area in Shanxi. Visitors were not allowed to drive up the mountain. Instead, they must park their cars in the lot and take the shuttle buses arranged by the scenic area. This led to long queues, with some people waiting for up to 10 hours. Some tourists couldn't take it anymore and loudly demanded refunds. A viral video showed the crowd shouting, "Refund tickets." On the afternoon of October 4th, a netizen posted, saying, "I was all set to visit Yanmen Pass, but you stopped me 8 kilometers away and made me crawl forward at just 1 kilometer per hour. In the end, I had to turn around and get a refund." In response, the staff at Yanmen Pass explained that the visitors who demanded refunds were from the South Gate, and they hadn't expected such a large crowd there. Some tourists weren't happy with the response. "You made me wait 8 hours in traffic, stand in line for 7 hours, and only gave me 5 minutes to enjoy the view. Then you tell me, 'Sorry, there are too many people. Here's your ticket refund.' How do you account for the time I lost and the ruined vacation?" According to official information, Yanmen Pass is known as the First Pass of China, and an important military site from the Ming Dynasty. It is well preserved and integrates border culture, ranking as a Level 5A scenic area. Now let's look at Huashan in Shanxi. On the evening of October 3rd, Huashan Scenic Area suddenly suspended part of its hiking routes, stuck for hours in the cable car queue, with some not able to descend until close to midnight. On October 4th, Ms. Cui told a local media reporter that she arrived at the North Peak cable car queue around 6:50 p.m. and couldn't get on the cable car until nearly midnight. Other tourists posted online, saying they couldn't even enter the scenic area. One visitor recalled crouching on the ground in a raincoat. They said, "I stood in line for 7 hours, and my legs felt like they weren't mine anymore." On October 4th, Huashan Scenic Area issued an announcement stating that they would temporarily close the hiking routes before 6 p.m. The staff explained that tickets that hadn't been used could be fully refunded. The cable car was operating normally, but whether the hiking routes would reopen depended on the weather. During this holiday, many well-known 5A scenic spots faced major issues, and even new scenic areas didn't fare much better. In Guizhou, the newly opened Huajiang Canyon Bridge, which hoped to make a splash during the National Day holiday, ended up creating a disaster for itself. Nearly 1,000 tourists shivered in the cold winds of the canyon, experiencing a real-life travel nightmare. On the evening of October 2nd, 1,000 tourists were stranded for several hours at the Huajiang Canyon Bridge. The visitors said they drove into the service area, bought tickets, and took the shuttle buses into the scenic area. However, they ended up being stranded in the canyon that night. Another person commented that the management in the Huajiang Canyon Bridge was terrible, with a 2-hour queue between the bridge and the service area, and people were cutting in line. Now, the service area near the Shuangru Peak was also backed up, and tourists had been waiting for over an hour without a single vehicle returning. Recently, Zhangjiajie's Tianmen Mountain in Hunan became a trending topic. During the peak of the National Day holiday, a netizen posted a video saying they got stuck on the cable car at Tianmen Mountain, suspended in midair for an hour. The cable car frequently stopped during the ride, making passengers feel like they were swinging in the air. On the evening of October 5th, another netizen shared a video about being stuck on the cable car at Tianmen Mountain. Some tourists said they didn't receive any updates about the malfunction, nor was there drinking water or medical support available. The scenic area screen displayed, "The cable car is temporarily stopped and will resume as soon as possible." This wasn't the first time the Tianmen Mountain cable car had malfunctioned this year. On August 21st, the same line broke down due to an electronic component failure in the control system. It trapped visitors for over 2 hours, with some suffering from heat stroke. On July 17th, during a pre-opening maintenance check, an abnormality in the system was found, which didn't affect passengers but caused a queue of over 2,500 visitors for more than an hour. The Tianmen Mountain cable car have raised public concerns about the maintenance of equipment, emergency response systems, and safety management. Many netizens pointed out that the repeated apologies exposed systemic management issues. They called for better equipment inspection and third-party supervision. Public information shows that Tianmen Mountain cable car is 7,455 meters long, and a one-way ride takes about 28 minutes. Many netizens complained that traveling during the holidays started with excitement, but ended with disappointment. Tourists often encountered various pitfalls during their trips: outrageous fees, reduced services, misleading attractions, traffic congestion, and long queues. As one netizen put it, "Every day you get tricked, but each time it's different." During the National Day holiday, a man in Guangdong encountered exorbitant seafood prices. He was charged 661 yuan for just stir-fried clams and crabs. After the story went viral, the man said he was looking forward to a seafood feast by the sea. He entered a restaurant where the owner warmly greeted him, saying, "Go ahead and eat, it's not expensive." Feeling reassured, he ordered a plate of stir-fried clams and a few crabs. However, when he paid the bill, he was shocked and said, "I thought seafood by the sea would be cheap, but I didn't expect it to be this expensive." A similar situation occurred in Gulangyu Island. A tourist met a friendly auntie who volunteered to be their guide and took them to a restaurant called Athena. The auntie proudly guaranteed that the food was authentic and prices reasonable. Trusting her, the tourist ordered 3 crabs, a fish cooked 2 ways, a plate of vegetables, and a plate of eggplant. When it was time to pay, the total bill came to 1,600 yuan. As the tourist was leaving, the restaurant owner discreetly handed money to the auntie. That's when everything became clear. From taxi drivers enticing tourists to pay overpriced packages, to guides leading tourists into restaurants, and finally, the large kickbacks exchanged between shop owners and guides, a complete gray industry chain has formed. The local scenic spots, which are showcased as examples of the area's culture, are actually designed to scam tourists. In Huangshan, a tourist trap was discovered, which attracted widespread attention. During the National Day holiday, a Chinese reporter posing as a tourist joined a low-price group. The tour, which claimed to cost 750 yuan per person, included 2 nights of accommodation and tickets to Huangshan and Hongtun. It seemed cheap and convenient at first. However, there were hidden fees and strong shopping pressures that tourists didn't expect. The tour guide even used moral coercion to influence travelers to not skip shopping. According to a report from the paper, the tourists soon discovered that in addition to the 750 yuan tour fee, they had to pay an extra of 159 yuan for insurance and scenic transportation, raising the cost to over 900 yuan per person. According to the staff, these fees were mandatory, without which tourists were not allowed to enter the scenic spots. Tourists revealed that, on the first night, they were asked to pay extra charges, and later they had to sign a voluntary shopping supplement agreement, agreeing to visit 3 shopping spots during the tour. Although they didn't face forced shopping, the psychological pressure and strategies used by the tour guide were overwhelming. The tour guide even said, not shopping means affecting others' interests, which pressured the tourists. One tourist described that at a jade shop in Huangshan, there was no hard selling, but the lack of resting areas meant that once tourists approached the counter, salespeople would follow them closely, and if they tried to leave, they were told, "You'll need to buy a ticket if you want to come back in." At a silk quilt shop, tourists were scattered into different small rooms, where salespeople would push products one by one, from distinguishing real from fake to promoting rosemary for better sleep. They were offered discounts, such as half off the original price of 7,000 yuan. At one point, a woman bought a product worth 3,000 yuan, and the guide even led a round of applause to celebrate. The woman's family was amused and annoyed at the same time, and it was clear that if you don't buy, you can't leave. Some tour members admitted that joining this type of tour was half convenient and stress-free, and half mental pressure. They found the disguised forced shopping extremely annoying. Under the continuous pressure from the tour guides, even trying to rest became difficult, and in the end, some still ended up spending money on shopping. Lawyer Zhao Liangshan pointed out that according to Article 35 of the tourism law, travel agencies are prohibited from enticing tourists with unreasonably low prices and profiting from shopping arrangements. He emphasized that even if tourists sign a voluntary shopping agreement, it's still illegal if there's inducement to purchase. He added, low-priced tours may seem cheap, but they often shift the cost to shopping stops, which is a chronic issue in the industry. In recent years, the impact of downgraded consumption on Chinese tourism has become increasingly apparent. On one hand, luxury tour groups costing tens of thousands of yuan are largely ignored, and on the other hand, affordable short trips priced at just a few hundred yuan are in high demand. This explains why local and city tours are exceptionally popular, while long-distance international travel is recovering slowly. It's not that people don't want to travel farther, it's that their wallets won't allow it. In other words, the sudden surge in visitor numbers at certain scenic spots during this year's National Day doesn't necessarily mean that tourism is thriving. A closer look reveals that tourism spending has significantly decreased. More tourists are bringing their own food, fewer are dining at scenic spots, more are choosing public transportation, while fewer are booking chartered tours, fewer are buying souvenirs, but more are taking photos for social media. The rise of just visiting and not buying reflects the true decline in consumer spending power. At the same time, the budget travel culture has become a trend. More and more young people are keen to find free attractions, create city walking routes, and explore hidden, lesser-known destinations. Who would have thought that during this year's National Day holiday, camping became the new preferred option for accommodation? Campground booking rates near major scenic spots soared by more than 50%. Sellers of outdoor gear saw long lines of customers. A tent purchased for 3,000 yuan can last for many years, while a hotel room for a family of 3 easily cost over 1,000 yuan a night. Compared to this, camping is not only more affordable, but also avoids the hassle of rising hotel prices. Media reports indicate that hotel prices during the holiday generally doubled, with some rooms costing several thousand yuan per night, making them unaffordable for the average person. Online booking platforms showed that during the National Day holiday, the average price of hotels in popular cities increased by 30%, with some hotels doubling their rates, but the actual occupancy rates were far below expectations. The downgraded consumption has given rise to budget travel. As economic pressures mount, young people show a stronger inclination towards rational and pragmatic travel spending. Instead of expensive trips that cost tens of thousands of yuan, young people prefer low-cost, personalized, and flexible travel options. This is the core appeal of the budget travel culture. It can be expected that as the trend of downgraded consumption continues, budget travel will no longer be a temporary solution, but will become an active choice for more and more people.